Vanakkam. Before I became a founder, before pitch decks, panels, and investor meeting, I ran a coffee shop. I was 24 years old, and not many believed that a 24-year-old girl could run a successful coffee business. It was not a small cafe. It had customers, it had revenues, it had systems. It was doing very well. Once in every few weeks, local strongmen would walk into a coffee shop, not as customers, not as suppliers, but they would come in demanding donations. I soon realized something. If they want to talk to the owner, the conversation was very difficult. And they've always assumed I'm an employee. And so when they asked me, "Are you an employee?" I would just smile and say yes. It's not because the cafe was small or the business was very unsuccessful. They thought a 24-year-old girl could never be a owner of such a big business. That is when I learned my first real business lesson. It was not on metrics, it was not on profits. It was who gets believed and who has to explain themselves. Years rolled by, and I entered the startup world. The problem was still persisting. It is just that the situation had changed. Right now, I work in elder care. When I started 60 Plus, a lot of people used to smile and tell me, this is a great social impact company, this is a great, you know, uh, NGO, is it a business? And then there was one investor who went and asked me, this sounds more like a care than a business. And I said, yes, care is the business. We started 60 Plus because senior citizens are often invisible. They are invisible until there's some emergency happens. They are invisible until there's a fall. They are invisible until there's a hospital admission. They are invisible until they have a doctor's call. 60 Plus India became the preventive care company for them. Doctor home visits, medical reminders, and many such things. But the real impact was an open WhatsApp group. Many of my friends told me don't keep the group open because if the group is open, the senior citizens will get messy. The group became messy. They sent WhatsApp forwards. They said good morning text. They said they said the voice notes, but it worked. Not because the senior citizens need moderation, because they needed a space to connect. That's when I realized voices don't need permission, they just need space. Running a company is hard, but fundraising is even harder. And it was very hard for me just because I was a woman. I was pitching for 60 Plus alongside a male founder. Both of us are from the same sector, same revenue, same stage, same experience. We were pitching in a stage, but we both were asked different questions and we were judged very differently. I was asked, how will you be able to handle this competition? While he was asked, how will you handle the competition? The same question, but completely different meaning. This is not subtle, it's structural. His assumed his competence, my question my capacity. Let me be clear. I was not the only one with all these questions too. Every single women founder whom I knew were asked the same questions. I will tell you something which is never put in a pitch deck. None of the women founders are first questioned for their business. They are asked, are you married? Do you have a male co founder? What is your future plan? What if your husband moves to a different city? What happens when you get kids? Listen to this. There was a pregnant female founder who was asked, what will you do with your kid child support care once we give you the funding? But at the same time, a male founder who's about to become a father, he's just congratulated and the conversation moves on. Why is this different? The same situation, but very different approach to them. Motherhood is a liability, while fatherhood is just a question mark. Two people are asked the completely different question even when they are on the same stage. This is not one bad investor, this is not one bad meeting. It is persistent, it is predictable, it is everywhere. No spreadsheets answers this and no metrics captures this. This is bias delivered quietly. There was a separated woman founder who was told, we are glad that you're single because this company needs a lot of focus. Imagine this. There's no woman which simply fits. If the woman is married, she's too distracted. If the woman is mother, she's just too risky. If she's single, she's just too temporary. Please remember this. Men are evaluated on their potential, and women have to justify their existence. Yeah, and this is not about a fairness debate. This is just about the outcomes. When you invest in women based on our personal choices, what happens is you have smaller investments. You don't get safer investments. And these smaller thinkings leads to smaller companies. And when the smaller companies are the ones which are coming outside, then a whole industry gets destroyed. No new idea is coming up. This is not emotional talk. This is an expensive talk. 300 times I pitched before I got my first funding. Not 30, not 50, 300. And every time I pitched, I was asked the same question in a different manner. Can you handle this? I didn't even know what was happening. I was thinking maybe I'm pitching wrong. I was thinking maybe there's something wrong in the business idea. Until I went to a meeting in Bangalore. It was a women only founder and investment meeting, and that's where I realized I was not bad at pitching. Companies or the investors did not believe in women. I was not bad in my business idea, but my voice was judged even before my business idea was happening. And this was a pattern, and this was everywhere. I have run businesses before 60 plus. Usually, I'm the only woman in a whole room of men. And that's when I realized when a women founder has to run this male dominated world, she must not do it alone. That's why TN Women was born. It was not as a support group, it was not as a networking circle, it was an investment platform. Because encouragement is nice, but capital changes outcome. I was at an event in Tiruchi, and a college student approached me. She had this great women's safety product. The product needed work, the product needed money, the product needed belief, but it was very real. And then is when I realized if we don't invest in women very early, their ideas die very quietly. The next week, we formalized TN Women to invest in her, to invest in women, to invest in women's safety. Because for too long, women have been justifying their existence to build, and we had to stop it. I invest in women founders. The women I invest in don't pitch loudly, they build quietly. The reason I invest in these women is not because they need special treatment, it is because they work in harder conditions. These women, they chase progress, they don't look at attention. These women, before they even come for funding, have crossed so many hurdles that many founders don't even know what it is. When I invest in them, I'm not fixing their confidence, I'm just removing the friction. Capital empowers women. Does it? That is a misconception. The capital we're giving women just helps them cross that extra one more hurdle they have. Because for a long time, the women had to prove why she's building. She had to prove her existence. We invest in these women so that she can stop proving and she can start building. TN Women is more than just another investment firm. We are a consortium of women investors. We are women who believe women. There is less explanations. There is more easy access to fund. There is more decision making with ease. TN Women is for every single woman out there build their business without going through all the rough patch. Voices Unbound isn't about being louder. Voices Unbound is about being clear. Clear on what you're building, clear on what you want to do, clear on how you're building it. Because the world doesn't silence women, they just keep asking them to explain again and again until these women stop explaining themselves, until they go silent. Don't. Build anyway, speak anyway, and ask anyway. Because when one woman's voice gets unbound, she doesn't just give the stage for herself, she creates a stage for the entire room. I'm Arasi Arul, and I'm here representing TN Women. Nandri Vanakkam.